extended metaphor describing past trauma receives a solid 30 score.
Hey y'all, hey, and welcome. If you like what it is that you see, like, comment, and subscribe. You can follow Visionary Price, the amazing visionary behind all of this, and follow myself at Miss We Care. We got more content coming, guys.
Poet's extended metaphor describing past trauma receives a solid 30 score. Person's outreach to loved ones about current struggles receives a solid 0 responses. Poet steps on stage, echoes her deepest feelings into the mic and is told, "Girl, you ate and left no crumbs." Person steps out of her comfort zone, echoes her deepest feelings into the world and is left starving for a listening ear. Poet commands a storm of similes and metaphors onto the audience, drizzling her experiences onto those in the splash zone in a way they can weather the weather without getting drenched, of course, resulting in a standing ovation. Person is told to remove the dark cloud from over her head, quit raining on everyone's parade, and have several seats. As poets, everyone wants to hear our trauma, but as people, no one wants to hear our trauma. Now, don't get me wrong, being Saratonin is pretty dope. I mean, it did get me onto the big stage, but until recently I did not realize the closer you climb to the top of the mountain, less and less loved ones elevate with you. We trade heart to hearts for listening ears. We are taught to package our pain in a ways others can stomach to assure we don't bug anyone. Every time we try to talk about it, they tell us to write about it. Sounds like pray about it. Sounds like don't think about it. Sounds like just get over it. Sounds like until your pain can be unveiled as a work of art, keep that shit behind the curtains. They dismiss our art mediums until we turn them into something larger than life while keeping ourselves small. They tell us to not let our feelings cover our whole canvas, that these feelings will fade just as quickly as watercolor, but I don't know, y'all. Sometimes the loneliness of a poet's life feels as potent and permanent as tempera paint. Why do we build the poet up when they're feeling down but leave the person on red when they're feeling blue? Does a person who happens to be a poet even make a sound if she speaks on her sorrow with no microphone around? We watched a poet slowly pass away on stage telling us, "I need to ask for help, but similarly, I can't do this without my similes." He practically begged us to step up and give him a hand, but instead we just stood up to give him a hand. And although his words rage on, a beautiful soul left this earth with just the snap of a finger. From the amount of snaps and claps I receive, it is evident we all have many shared experiences, so why aren't we sharing our experiences? It is so common for poets to feel lonely in crowded venues no matter how many times we tell each other, "I see you, poet, I love you, poet," but maybe it's hard for us poets to give and receive real love when we don't even address each other by our real names. So maybe it's time we revamp how we show the poets some love. What if we traded the snapping of the fingers for the tapping on the keyboards and actually checked in with each other? What if we traded the clapping of the hands for the arms stretched open wide, ready to catch each other when we fall? I am here, I am here, I promise you I am here. What if we traded the jingling of the keys for the turning of the lock and finally let each other in? Let's drop these masks the way we drop these mics and finally hear each other out with the mic on mute and the heart on high volume. Let us love these poets through our final copies, not just our rough drafts, so more poets don't become chalk outlines, because though we tread this trail of top-tier talent together, despite our desires to demonstrate our endowments amongst our designated disciples, primarily we are people prior to poets, and it's about damn time we start seeing and treating each other as such.
What's up, visionaries? I am Visionary Price. We are at the Visionary Place. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. That's the only way we're going to be able to keep this going. This one is for the visionaries. Everybody go through things and looking for a way out. This your way out. So tap in for sure. This for us. Let's go, visionaries. What's up, y'all? Visionary Price. We're here once again in nature. It's so beautiful. Welcome to Visionaries Place. We got an episode for y'all today. I want to say that this person is like a rising star to me, because she's the first person that everyone keeps on recommending. That's enough of me talking. I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
What's up, you guys? My name is Sarahtonin. I've been doing poetry for about 4 years now, and I'm really excited to be here.
Wow, only 4 years.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about that, like finding poetry and things like that. But before was a poet. You were a human being going through things and experiencing life and things like that. So, what was your background like? Like, where are you from?
So I am originally from New Orleans, and then we moved here to Houston right before I started kindergarten. I was always a really shy kid. I know that probably doesn't come across now, but I used to be insanely shy, like didn't really have a lot of friends, had a really hard time talking to the other kids. And it was when I started high school, I started choir, I was in theater. Like, so many people would always tell me, they're like, you need to be in the performing arts. Like, you just have that it factor. It's just breaking that shyness is what was really difficult for me. But I think once I broke out of that and, you know, I met my people, I met my tribe, I think that that's what really brought me out of my shell. So I did that in high school, and then when I got to college, I didn't really have time to do that because I was focusing more on school, but I was a blogger. I did a little bit of poetry here and there, but not too much. I remember my very first poem, it was called I Want to Love You Like a Broke College Kid after Asia Sampson, and I wrote it for this girl that I was like madly in love with who had no idea I existed. I never read it to her, but I published it on my blog, and I don't think she knows that it was for her. But I actually entered that into a women's slam, and I wasn't thinking anything was going to come of it. I was just thinking, like, I'm just going to get some participation, understand how it works. Miraculously, I took 3rd overall, so I was like,
Wow.
oh, maybe I have a little gift here. You know, let's keep on with that.
So this was literally the first poem you started with?
Yep, very first poem.
Wow. Before that though, you said a lot, you know what I'm saying? You said you was the shy kid. And I'm very familiar with that. Like, people don't know now because, like, I'm out there with it, you know, but I was definitely shy. Like, I didn't really want to talk to nobody. I didn't want to perform or do nothing like that. So how was it breaking out that box first, you know?
It was scary. One thing I've had to learn is that there's never really a right time to do something. There's never really like a moment where you can wait until you feel ready. Sometimes you literally just have to be like, I'm scared to death, but whatever, I'll get through it, and just put yourself out there. Because I think that if I had waited until I felt confident enough to do something, I never would do anything. How did you break your shyness?
I broke my shyness by really the same thing though, for real. Like, I think it was a collection of things. I think number one thing was having brothers that I can see. You know, they didn't never gave a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Pardon my language, but they don't. So I had to learn that part first. Like, who am I? You know what I'm saying? Once you learn yourself, and then everything else get easier. And then you realize it's okay to be shy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But also a closed mouth don't get fed. So
Exactly.
you can be shy in certain situations where, like, I'm gonna let them do them, but you know, I still know who I am. But I also, if I gotta speak up, I'm gonna say something.
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
yeah. So was poetry first, like your first let out? Like, what was some of your let outs, you know?
I would say it's been my most successful let out. Choir and theater was cool and everything, but it was more like I was doing that with a group rather than doing that individually. I did try, this is hilarious, I tried stand-up comedy in college. I was not good. I was like, I noticed that whenever I'm trying to be funny, I'm not funny, but when I'm not trying to be funny, I am funny.
Exactly.
So I tried that a little bit. I had a few gigs here and there, but it was just like, it wasn't what I was meant to do. But I would say that poetry has been the let out that's really stuck with me. The one that really brings me passion, the one that I can see myself doing long term rather than just a little hobby to, you know, cope with stress from life, you know?
So finding poetry, right? Like, did it start with writing down your notes and writing, like, what's your creative process? Feel me?
So I think it's kind of changed over the last few years. The main thing that I do is, like, instead of forcing myself to write when I don't have anything to write about, I just kind of let it come to me. So I'll just kind of allow the universe to just throw things at me, like little pebbles, like someone throwing pebbles at your window when they're outside with a boombox. Like, I'm here. Like, that's the poem idea with the boombox. And I'm like, all right, you got me. But I kind of just let those experiences happen naturally. And a lot of times I don't even plan on writing about it. Like, recently I wrote a poem about a guy that I saw at Starbucks picking his nose.
What?
In front of everybody. And I was like, this man is at least 45. And I turn around, I get my Frappuccino, I turn around, lock eyes with him, and he's just having a great time up there. He's doing some self-discovery, and I'm just like, kudos to you, sir. You're
he's searching for
not
gold.
The shy kid.
He's searching for gold up in there.
Oh yeah, I was like, that's a golden opportunity if I ever did see one. I didn't plan on writing anything about that. I was just kind of like, oh, I feel like I want to take a shower, and I'm not even the one doing this. And then it just came to me, you know?
I like that idea though. Like, that reminds me of like secondhand embarrassment. Like, you seen that, you was like, I feel embarrassed, and he don't give a fuck.
Yes. Oh God, I get secondhand embarrassment so bad. Like, if I see something on TV, like if someone's doing something embarrassing, I have to turn the TV off and go for a walk. I'm like, I need a cool down. What's your writing process?
My process is really the same thing for real. I remember I knew I had a gift when I be at work, literally doing physical labor, and like lines would come to my head. And
me too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. But if I sit down and try to focus on writing, it's nothing gonna come. And
same.
Yeah, I leave, come back, I got it back again. It's the craziest thing. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, there are times where it's like, I've noticed like what makes a really good poet is when they get on that mic and they say, I wrote this at work when I was supposed to be working. I'm like, that's how you know it's gonna slap, because it's like the poem that I did today, which was inspired by Sleeveless. That was something that I had written when I was at work, and I remember like experiencing that feeling of I need to write this. The topic itself I had wanted to speak on for a very long time, as far as like how I was feeling, and I'm like, well, I know I'm not the only one, I just might be the first to say something. And then I just didn't really know like what angle I wanted to use. Originally I was going to use an extended metaphor of like art supplies and painting a picture, but I didn't really, it wasn't clicking. And then Sleeveless posted a reel basically talking about the exact same topic, and it just lit a fire under my ass, pardon the language. And then I could tell, because my mind and body would not stop like racing, and so I would go and like take a quick break. I would text myself the lines rather than write it down, because I'm like, if my boss walks by my desk and sees that, I was like, uh-oh. So I would text myself the lines, and then that's how I would write the poem. So I would say that was probably one of my favorite poems.
I think that poem is what's needed in society, because so often we wear masks. So often we crying out for help, but people want to laugh and think it's cool and think it's funny.
Exactly.
You know? I think a good example for that is, I got somebody very close to me, I'm gonna just say it, my brother, you know what I'm saying? He's a comedian, but I know him for real. So them jokes he telling, he dead ass serious. He's not playing, and it's not funny to me.
Right.
So that's why I kind of look at, comedy a little different, because I know they not playing, they serious, and we need, things like this will help the conversation, finding your tribe, finding people who really can see you, like, that's a mask you're wearing, be yourself, come as you are.
Definitely.
So yeah, what's your thoughts on that alone, like people wearing masks, and, do you see through that?
I sometimes can. I think my issue is that I can see through it immediately, but I don't want to speak on it and maybe offend that person if they're actively trying to mask it, or maybe it's someone that I don't really know that well, and maybe they're not trying to have that conversation with me. Maybe they'd rather talk about it with someone that they're more close to. But it's something that I've really noticed within the poetry community, and I was afraid to speak on it because I'm like, am I going to get canceled? Or people going to be like, well, this is what you wanted to get more recognition, you wanted to be doing these shows, so why are you complaining? Because I remember 2 years ago I was just going to open mics once a week. Like, no one knew my name, no one knew, what I was doing. I had never had a feature before. And so I remember, like, I would go watch my friends that were in that spot, and I would say, oh God, I can't wait until that's me. I can't wait until I'm the one doing that, and then I'm actually the one in it, and they don't see the behind the scenes. I think that's such a cliche saying of like, oh, you don't see the behind the scenes of, everything, you just see what we put on. But I feel
it's
like
true.
People don't talk about what the behind the scenes actually is.
Yeah.
So I'll tell, like, this is my behind the scenes. People don't see the never ending amount of fast food bags in my car because I don't have time to go home and cook something healthy. They don't see the clothing that's in the car because sometimes I literally will change in the car going straight from work to an event. They don't see the amount of times I've had to say, no, I can't go to this hangout, to this pool party, to this sleepover, to this movie night. I have an assignment for poetry that I have to do. The amount of times where I've thought like, you know, when it comes to the poetry community, I feel like we are so quick to say that we're part of a community, but how many of us really talk to each other outside of the open mic? How many of us really DM each other and say, hey, do you want to go get lunch with me? Do you want to come over and swim? I'll be honest, I'm the same way. You know, I don't reach out the way I should be. Like, I only have one friend in the poetry community that's also like my friend in real life. So shout out to Earl the poet. My bestie. But other than that, you know, that it's very surface level, I've noticed with me. So I think like, you know, the people that I have the strongest bonds with, I don't even see anymore. But the people that I have very surface level relationships are the people I'm around all the time. So it's like, if we're around each other so often, shouldn't we know each other for real? So I was thinking like, what if we had, you know, poetry groupings where we did things not poetry related? Like, what if we did like sports or game nights, girls nights, you know, just have days where we just sit around and talk, or, you know, something like that, to really get to know each other on that level. I think that that would really help out a lot of people that feel like they don't have anybody.
Creating community.
Definitely.
For real, you know, and it's not just, like you say, just poetry. Cool, we relate on that, but I'm sure we can find something else we relate on as well.
Exactly. It's like, it felt like poetry kind of took over my life, and I didn't really feel like I had much of an identity outside of that anymore. Where it was like, that was the only thing that I would talk about. It's the only thing I had in my life to talk about. But nowadays I try and be a little more well-rounded, where I'll say like, oh, I'm not going to go to the open mic tonight, I'm going to go join this rock climbing group, or I'm going to go join this group for queer women. That's been really helpful for me, is having a community of people like me, you know. Or I'm just going to go hang out with my friends that I haven't seen since God knows when, and you know, really catch up with them and, you know, see what's going on in their life, because I don't want anyone to feel like I don't care, you know. But it's also like, it's the ever popular FOMO. Like, you don't want to miss out on the poetry stuff, but you also don't want to miss out on real life.
Finding balance.
Definitely.
You gotta find that balance between the poetry and real life, and you know, things like that, because there's so much we gotta do, especially the adults.
Oh God,
damn,
yes.
We ain't gonna talk about that.
Yeah. The never-ending list of this needs to be done, that, and it's like, okay, let me go take a nap.
Yeah, and real life real fast. You feel me? But yeah,
that's a poem right there.
Talk about that. Oh, so speaking of poems and stuff like that, how many poems you feel like you got?
That's a great question. Haikus included?
Yeah.
Probably 50 plus.
50 plus.
What about you?
How many you remember, like memorize, like right now type shit?
Maybe 4.
Got you. I'm probably 4 poems in, for real. You know, like I said, I took a break, so I ain't really been focused on that. I do rap though. If we talking raps that I can turn into poems, I got 100.
Sweet.
Yeah, I've been doing that for a while.
Do you have an album or anything like that?
Yes, I do. I got it's called Rap Dreams, and then I got Influence Thoughts, but I don't really take the rapping seriously enough to really like say I'm a rapper as well. I'm just a creative motherfucker, man, you know.
I hear that. You're versatile, you're well-rounded.
Yeah, versatile, well-rounded, yeah. So when I was researching you, things like that, I thought it was dope that you fairly new, kind of. Would you say that, or not really, in the poetry thing?
I would say I'm pretty new. I think that, you know, when I look back on other poets that I'm around, especially those that are in like their 40s and 50s, some of them have been doing this longer than I've even existed. And I'm just like, I didn't even know that it was around that long.
No,
you know?
for real, it's some real OGs out here. For real.
It was kind of crazy, because like I thought that spoken word was more of like a new age thing, where it was like 2010s on up, and apparently it goes like even back to the 80s, and I'm like, dang, it's been that long.
Yeah, you know? Yeah, because poetry, it don't have the same platform as anything else.
That's true.
Like, I was like, I'm so surprised, you feel me? We got some real talented people, and that's the reason why I wanted to start Visionaries Places, because poetry don't have an outlet like that. And we are the people with the most controversial topics, you know what I'm saying? We could take something like this and just create a whole picture with it, you know, using words. And I feel like it should be more platforms driven to poetry, you feel me? For real, for real. So yeah, that's how my stance on it.
Definitely. It's crazy to think like how poetry even came about. I remember listening to one of Neil Hilborn's poems, OCD, which is basically what put him on the map. And he was saying that it was created by a guy named Mark Smith back in the 80s. I think he was like a construction worker or something. And he said that it was just a way to get people to come to poetry events. Because like I remember when I was a kid, I hated English. I hated anything that had to do with like structured writing. Like I was the kid that like as soon as I would finish my assignment, I would grab whatever chapter book I was reading and just like stick my head in it. They're the kids, oh, what are you reading? Holds up the book and then just goes right back to it. Like I was the kid that I'd rather read and write rather than talk to the other kids. That was always me. When I got into high school, things got a little different because then I was in like college level English, college level everything as a 16-year-old kid.
Wow.
And so then it got into now I'm reading for a grade. I'm learning for a grade rather than just for my own enjoyment. So for a while, you know, I would be always reading these textbooks and these, you know, excerpts to the point where whenever I had a moment to just breathe, whenever I had any free time, the last thing I wanted to do was pick up another book. I'm like, I'm going straight to the tablet. I'm going straight to Netflix. I'm going to go hang out with my friends. And I feel like I didn't really tap into that love of reading and writing again until after I left school because I was just in like brain overload, you know?
It sounds like it's a lot, you feel me? To be able to just, you have to read all the time. Like, nah, I don't want to do that no more. This has been a dope conversation so far. I feel like we talked about a plethora of topics, you feel me, over this 20 minutes. And it's still more to be talked about, you know, as far as the queen of the mics, you know. What was that like? Was that your first, like, big show you done?
It wasn't my first big show, but it was my first all-female big show. I remember I started with Poetry or Die about a year ago. That's the group that I was with. And I remember they were telling me about the Queens of the Mic show, and they were like, oh, it is the coolest thing we have. You know, it's one of the biggest shows that we do. And some of the women that were in that show had been on that lineup, like literally ever since the show started about 10 years ago. So it was nice getting to learn from some of them, because I was sitting backstage and I'm like, I am a nervous wreck, you know. I normally, what's crazy is I actually don't have stage fright. It's something that I never really like had any issue with before, but I had done a revamped poem and I had never performed the new version on stage before. So I was just like, let me not forget that one line that I keep forgetting every single time. I did forget it on stage, but I played it off.
That. Yeah, they didn't even notice it. They probably didn't even notice, yeah.
Right. I just remind myself, like, if I do mess up, I'm like, I'm the only one who knows this poem. They don't know it, and, you know, it's not really that big of a deal. I might be a little mad at myself, but I'm like, we live on a floating rock, who cares?
You feel me? It's just uncomfortable. Like, damn, I knew I was going to fucking mess that up, and I did.
Right.
But yeah, so we talked about, do you have a poem for every type of situation, like love, relationships, anxiety, depression, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do your poems, do you have a plethora of poems, like hitting every topic?
I would say for the most part, yes. The main poems that I like to talk about would be about mental health and human connection. I wouldn't say necessarily like romantic relationships, because I haven't really had too much experience in that realm, and the ones that I have not been kind to me. But I would say just like human relationships in general. They did assign me a love poem recently, and I'm just like, that's gonna take some work.
Wow.
It's not something I really write about unless I have someone that I can really dedicate that to. And at the moment, no prospects.
Nobody you looking at, nobody you talking to, nobody you like. Even, remember how you got influenced about the Starbucks guy picking his nose? Like, can you look at some love from outside and kind of like write a poem about that?
I could try. I mean, whenever I was talking to Kanai, she was like, oh, what if you wrote it and dedicated it to your favorite food? And I'm like, oh, bam, sushi, got it.
You feel me? You can talk about how good the sushi is, you know, how they roll it up. So, I don't know. Be creative as possible. But I think that's interesting. What is love to you then? If, you know, you never really experienced it. Is it something like a dream type of thing?
I think that it's something that should feel safe. I think that it should feel like a really tight hug. It feels like, you know, those messages of text me when you get back safe. Have you eaten yet? Hey, I haven't seen you post for a few days. Are you doing okay? Do you want me to come over? Do you want me to come sit with you? Just people that, I think that it also feels like consistency. Like you don't have to guess how that person's feeling. You don't have to guess if that person cares about you. You know through their actions and through their words that they do. You know, even one of my best friends, like she's very stoic. Like she's one of those I hate people except for my select few kind of people. I love her for it though. But I remember like I never had to question if she cared about me because she always showed me that she did, even though she's not big on verbal affection. Like I remember the first time I said I love you to her was like 2 years into our friendship, and it was more like one of those like slip out things, like if you accidentally say it to the pizza guy after ordering your pizza. But I remember she had called me and she told me that she contracted COVID, and I remember telling her like, okay, well I'm out of town right now, but when I get back I'm gonna drop off some groceries for you, and just keep me posted. And then I was like, I love you, and I was like, oh crap, I just said that to her. Little Miss No Emotion. She goes, love you too. And I'm like,
oh, there you go.
I got a new bestie.
Yeah.
So I think that it's not gonna feel like butterflies. I don't trust the butterflies thing at all. I think that it's more so activated attachment wounds. If you feel butterflies, like you should feel safe and calm around the person that you're with, in my personal opinion. So yeah, what about you? What do you think about love?
So no love at first sight. You don't believe in it?
Oh, no. I may believe in like that person's cute at first sight, but you know, cute doesn't equate to good person. They might be psycho.
Yeah, that's a fact. And that's another thing, right? Not attaching yourself to how a person looks, but who they really are. You know what I'm saying? For real. And another thing, have you ever heard this? If somebody tell you who they are, believe them.
Yes, that's actually a line in one of my poems.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What's that poem about?
So it's called Strawberries, and it talks about my now ex best friend. What's sad is we met at poetry, and like we would always, it was one of those friendships where it was like, if someone saw one of us without the other, they questioned it, and it's like, oh, where's your friend? I'm at work, dude. Like, it's okay. But it was like, at one point, you know, we were coworkers for a little bit. And on the weekends, we always would want to hang out with each other. Like, it was like, it may have been a little codependent looking back. I'm just like, that was probably not a good one. But we were so close, and we understood each other better than anyone else.
So go ahead. I was gonna say, it's from the first impression, what happened?
So the reason that her and I are not friends anymore is because she got into a relationship with this guy who was the definition of trash. He was very openly racist, homophobic. Like, we had a Halloween party and he was calling all of the people of color by the wrong name on purpose, but he wasn't doing that with me or any of the white people there. He was making jokes about queer people, just very derogatory, and she saw that verbatim. Like, she was in the car with him while he was doing that, and of course everybody was really uncomfortable. Like, dude, this is not okay. You need to get rid of this guy. And she didn't. They were together for, I think, a year on and off. And I just was like, you know, I love you very much. You are one of the best friends I've ever had, but I can't sit around and watch you become that. And the metaphor with the strawberry is like, strawberries are my favorite fruit other than watermelon and peaches. And she was like my favorite friend. You know, she was healthy, she was sweet, had a little tartness to her, but you know, so do we all. And then it was like, it's kind of like if you have a pint of strawberries and you notice that one of them has mold on it. You got to get rid of that strawberry immediately and wash the rest of them, because the mold is going to contract to all the other strawberries. So he was the moldy strawberry, and she kept him in her pint despite everyone telling her, throw it out, throw it out, throw it out, wash yourself, go to therapy. And so it was it was a choice that was made, and it unfortunately resulted in her not having a pint anymore, you know?
Wow.
It wasn't just me, it was pretty much her whole support system. So I just say, don't ignore the mold for the fruit. When someone shows you who they are, believe them.
That was a bar. God damn.
Thank you.
Oh, me personally experiencing something like that, I had a best friend. That was my dog. Like, I'm talking about, we did everything together. Just like you say, if they seen him, they be like, where Monte at? If they seen me, they be like, where he at? Type, like, this is my dog. Our falling out came from, first, you know, he started getting with this girl, and she was not right. She wasn't right for him. Like, I just seen his life slowly start deteriorating. You feel me?
Oh,
and I'm like, damn. But you know, we got into it over some whole other stuff. But that example, being with somebody who's not good is gonna make you suffer for real, for real, for real.
More ways than one.
Yeah, and it's a sad thing. You feel me? That's why they say, you got to be around like-minded individuals. If you want to keep growth going for you, be around that, you know what I'm saying? Because one person can definitely destroy, you know what I'm saying? For real, what you got going, so. Definitely.
How long has it been since y'all spoke to each other?
I want to say 2 years since I moved here. Like, I'm gonna tell the truth. I was holding a grudge on him. I'm not gonna lie, you know.
But that's fair.
Yeah, he did something to me that God had to show me who he was, you feel me? And that shit hurt me because that was my dog.
Right.
Quick story, fuck it. I'm at the crib. I get a phone call. I pick it up. It's him. But he don't know that I picked up the phone. He's talking in the background like, Monte this, Monte that. They ain't, all my friends right here. Not him type shit. And I'm on the phone hearing this shit. Nah, bro, hell nah, this can't be real.
No, did you say something into the phone?
Yeah, I'm like, yo, what's up? He couldn't hear me because he butt dialed me. I hung up. 10 minutes later, he called me like, yo, what up? You called me? I'm like, what? You called me? Like, it was weird. I'm like, bro, I just heard everything you just said. He's like, what? I ain't say nothing. He's like, nah, I heard you. And I repeated back what I said. I ain't say that. Hung up again. 2 weeks, 3 weeks later. I don't want to tell this part because I don't want to embarrass him, but this is what happened. You feel me? 2, 3 weeks later, I see him walking with the same girl. You feel me? I turned the car around. I got out. What all that shit? I don't want to talk about that. I got a little gangster with him, you feel me? But to this day, we not cool no more. Just because I couldn't forgive that. You didn't even say sorry. You tried to deny it. Like, I heard you. I'm not stupid.
Right.
You feel me? But yeah. So.
Someone who has negative thoughts about you is not your friend. I always say, like, if you don't enjoy that person, then
don't be
why
around
even
them.
have them around. Like, I've seen so many people where they'll keep someone around that they don't even like, and I'm like, why? You know, does that person serve any purpose in your life? Do you serve any purpose in theirs? And one thing that I look for in any relationship that I'm going to be in, platonic, romantic, or anything like that, is like a slow burn rather than we get super close super fast. Because I've noticed with anyone in past experiences that I got really close really fast, a lot of times it's that person had a hidden agenda with me. They wanted someone to just trauma dump all over. They wanted someone to be their personal therapist. And I'm like, I mean, it is my career goal to become a therapist later on, but not right now. Right now I'm a little selfish. Like, I'm in my selfish girly era, but then that is a goal of mine for later on. But I'm like, don't use me as free practice, man. I will send you a Cash App request.
Is that a poem?
Huh?
Is that a poem?
It should be.
Yeah.
It probably will be.
That's hard. I gave you the idea. You feel me?
Be like, pay me for my emotional labor, or we're gonna have to go to court.
No, for real, because that's something serious. Like, don't use me.
Yeah.
And it's good to be selfish with that. You feel me? Because somebody will use you in a second. They see you so loving. Oh, I got me a sucker.
Exactly. Like, I used to think like, oh, it's something that I have to do. It's something that, you know, someone with a big heart would do. And I'm like, no. That's something with poor boundaries, you know. But it's like, once that person with that big heart, that loving person, learns how to set that boundaries, it's over for them hoes. It is over.
Facts. It can't be used no more. You hear me?
Exactly.
No bullshit. Well, I think this was a beautiful conversation. We got real deep into the poetry stuff. I think you got so many layers to you. I just remembered. Saratonin. Where that come from? Your name?
I think it just kind of hit me at some point because, of course, my real name is Sarah. For a while, I was SJ, which is my first and middle initial. Then I changed it to Sarah J. And then at one point, I was like, oh, look at me, I'm happy. I put the Sarah in Saratonin, and I'm like, Saratonin.
That's hard. So, is that a double meaning by anything, or it just sound raw to you?
To me, it sounded cool. What about your name?
Visionary. So I know that I'm kind of blessed. You feel me? Because I get these ideas, and you can ask anybody in my life. I always did something, and I get these ideas. It come from God, a source or something, and I just act on it. You feel me? And I just call myself visionary because even this, I seen this before it happened. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I think we are visionaries for real. You know what I'm saying?
So is it kind of like a premonition?
Yeah, I want to say premonition. I want to say I seen it. Like my son, I seen him before he got here. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, what's his name?
His name's Kemet.
Oh.
Yeah.
How old is he?
He's about to be 1 year old.
Oh, the baby.
Yeah, thank you.
I love babies.
Thank you. He's precious. He wake up just smiling for no. I'm like, why is you smiling right now? Like we just woke up.
Yeah, it's like I need my morning coffee before I do any smiling or talking or anything like that.
Not him. He just wake up and be smiling. You feel me? But yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Visionary just come from everything you look at, everything you see around us started from a thought. Like your shirt started from a thought. You feel me? And that's just beautiful. Everybody visionaries in their own way. You a visionary, you feel me? I'm sure when you making up your poems, you seen it before you materialized it, you feel me? So,
I do.
Yeah,
It's kind of like the universe or God, whoever, will give me like an idea, and then it'll just kind of, it's almost like a snowball where like it'll start, there's one poem that I'm writing in the back of my head. It's called Hide and Seek, and the hook, line, and sinker is that playing a game of hide and seek as children is kind of like trying to make connections in the adult world in a very disconnected society. We all want to be seen, but no one wants to be the first to show their face. And then the ending is ready or not, here I come.
You got so many levels to you. That was dope and deep. You feel me? Like, damn. Cool. All right. So we can wrap this up. You feel me?
It's getting hot.
You feel me? All right. What's up, y'all? Like I say, my name is Visionary Price. We at the Visionary Place. We had Saratonin on. We talked about a whole bunch of topics, man. I hope y'all like it. I hope y'all appreciate it. And make sure y'all subscribe. You feel me? Tell them to subscribe.
Subscribe, or I'm gonna get you.
Hey, you don't want her to get you. You feel me? So, it's been another beautiful episode. Tap in.